What's up, and welcome back to the greatest teacher of all time, where I, Quincy Dawson, interview teachers of color, type their personalities, strategies, and philosophies on education. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel and visit greatestteacherofalltime.com to help me support more great teachers like Miss Whitfield. What's up, Ronise?
How you doing? How are you? I'm
I'm good.
good.
I'm good. Thank you so much for being here. You are doing some really cool things on TikTok in the education space, and you deserve to be highlighted. Yeah, so let's do it. First off, let's start off with your background. So you used to be a teacher for 21 years, is that correct?
Yes, I've been in education for 21 years.
Education for 21 years. And what were you doing initially? How'd you start out?
So I started out initially in South Florida as a first grade teacher. I worked in South Florida for about 7 years between first and second grade. Then I moved to Texas, yeehaw, and began teaching as a fourth grade teacher in 2009. And around 2018, I became a reading interventionist. Then COVID happened. And then I had a decision whether I would go back into the class or remain as a student interventionist. And I wanted to help a lot more students than I could just in my class. So I stuck with it.
Yeah, and that's so cool. And can you tell me more about being a student support specialist for reading? Like, what exactly does that entail? Like, are you in the classroom with the students or do you have your own classroom? What is that exactly?
Okay, great question. I'm fortunate enough to have my entire classroom all to myself. My role is to work with students who didn't qualify for special education, students who did not qualify for dyslexia, but still need support, those who are severely low tier 3 students who need additional support. I'm there to pull those students out of class and work with them for about 30 minutes every day on reading.
Okay, and that's super cool because I guess the way I think about it is because the teacher is like the face of the child's education, right? You know, the
Right.
counselors play the role in like the social emotional development. Why
Mhm.
is the student support specialist so important?
Well, the teachers have a lot of hats to fill, and at times they don't have the additional resources that they would need to give the extreme tier 3 students the justice that they need, right? And so those students are going to need a lot more support than what the teacher can do due to the pandemic. And even a little before the pandemic, there are a lot of students that need that tier 3 instruction. And so me being able to support the teacher in that way, kids are being able to get 30 minutes in a small group of no more than 4 and get that special attention that they need. And the teacher is able to work with other students.
Yeah, and I bet that's super important too because I guess you don't really think about for students because your class is for students who don't qualify for special ed, but still
Yes.
like score in the lower of their standard classes, I guess.
Yes, and funny enough about it, by the end of the school year, a lot more of the students I'm noticing as I continue in my journey of education are qualified towards the end of the school year. It's just that they didn't qualify or they are on the list at the time, but they weren't identified as of yet. So I'm working with a lot of students. I would say because I work at Title I schools, that start off not performing as well. Um, there are a lot of students on the list that are waiting to be tested. And so some of those kids turn out to have dyslexia.
Yeah, and that's so interesting. So I guess your class helps, I guess, help students better classify themselves. So I'm imagining a student in
Okay.
your class, they would have to either test out of your class or test into a special ed. Is that how it works?
So basically, I'm given a list of students in the beginning of the school year based on data.
Okay.
And I work with those students. I give them screeners. And if they fit in the program that I'm required to use by the district, then I begin that work and I continue to work with them. I keep data, I keep information, I share it with teachers. Now, some of the kids do progress. A lot of the programs that we use, you don't see as much growth especially in the higher grades. But because there's a progression with it, you kind of notice, okay, these few students aren't making the gains that the normal student would. So this would be a good candidate to move forward with testing.
Okay, okay, that's great. So I guess your class is about classifying students where they would get the most help, where they would benefit the best.
Definitely, I have anywhere from first grade to sixth graders. Oddly enough, within the last 2 years, I found a trend that a lot of the students are kind of in that end of the first, second grade reading level, no matter what grade they're in.
Really? Why is
Yes.
that? What's so special about first, second grade? Or what's so hard about third and fourth?
So first and second grade is actually where the foundations are laid. And if you miss that first and second grade, so if they were just coming out of that COVID year, they didn't have that first or second grade foundation there, possibly a teacher retiring, a teacher going out for maternity leave. And so most of the students who are struggling in third, fourth, fifth, and sixth, they are right there on that first and second grade reading level.
Wow, that's so interesting. Okay, so a little bit about my background. So I studied physics and I taught physics, but also
Uh-huh.
worked in these programs that specialize in math. And a
Okay.
big thing that we see is that you're going to struggle in your high school, middle school math classes if you didn't get that foundational algebra. So
Yeah.
algebra is ours, but first and second grade reading is yours.
Absolutely. Every time I'm extremely confident, even as a fourth grade teacher, when I would test my students, um, first and second grade, and I would say, well, what was happening? I would talk to the parent, what was happening during first and second grade? And that's usually it every time.
That is so
Mhm.
interesting. Yeah, those formative years. Wow.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So I want to talk to you more about some of the work you've done beyond being a student support specialist. But first,
Okay.
before we get into that, let's hear from one of my sponsors, Teachers of Color Matter.
Friend, we need to talk. As a teacher of color with a social justice mindset, I know if I give big to my students, I also need to replenish big to myself. My Clap for Yourself 5-minute reflection journal is perfect. This journal was designed for teachers of color, so it takes my experiences in the classroom to heart. And friend, this journal has everything. It helps me address feelings of overwhelm, anxiety, and self-doubt. I can either fill out a template on the right side or process a larger issue on the left. The templates bring more intention and success into my day, and I can use the adult coloring moments when I'm calling a parent or during a staff meeting. And Dr. Michelle has written letters to me throughout the book. It's almost as if she's reading my mind. The inspirational quotes remind me that I'm part of a legacy. Representation matters, and I do make an impact. What does your morning routine look like?
Welcome back. So yeah, you've done a lot of work as a student support specialist, and your job is, I think, especially needed now. But I think this video on TikTok kind of showcases why it's so important.
And just to add to the conversation, part of the problem is that kids are not doing this no more. They're not doing Jumpstart. They're not doing Leapfrog. I haven't seen a Hooked on Phonics commercial in decades, okay? Where's the Jumpstart app? Where's the Leapfrog app? Put it on the iPad. That's what I want to see.
So in this video, Maya, Miss B, one of the previous greatest teachers of all time, she actually talks about how students don't have things like Schoolhouse Rock or Hooked on Phonics, Leapfrog, Math Quest, things that I actually grew up on, which I think helped me. What's your take on this? Why do you think that is?
So I do see that a lot of the students are on computer-based programs, and those programs do have a lot of the similar strategies as the put on phonics. I maybe can read, leap, jump. However, in my opinion, and me searching to find out, what's happening, I realized that the students aren't as engaged in the computer programs as adults think they are. And a lot more students, as the years have gone by, don't carry the information from the computer over to actual work. So they can be on computers doing what we were taught to do under, of course, a new or different name, but that connection piece of realizing, hey, this game that I'm playing, hey, the activity I'm doing on a computer, I can utilize these same skills and strategies when it's test taking time. It's almost as if it's a totally different mindset. So as soon as they go over to a test, as soon as they sit one-on-one with the teacher and the teacher is saying, okay, let's see, you've played this lesson several times, you should know your short vowel sounds. It's like they never even played the game because they think it's something different.
Man, that's amazing to me because like teaching physics, you teach them I guess F equals ma, right? The equation.
Mm-hmm.
And the students can do the algebra. They can solve the equation like it's nothing. But once you try to apply that to like maybe a race car that you built or maybe seeing something in the real world, that's like the disconnect. But I don't know, I feel like that's part of the job of the teacher to help foster those connections, no?
So another thing that I noticed, moving from teaching first and second grade to having to jump to fourth grade and figuring out, okay, why are a lot of my students on first and second grade level? Let me visit a couple of my teacher friends during my planning to see what's happening. I noticed, and I'm not sure if it's just here in Texas, that a lot of the lower grade teachers are taking the majority of their reading block time supporting students in comprehension type things. And that's how the district has designed it. So it's not as much time for phonics. So let's just say if it's a kindergarten classroom, there aren't as many nursery rhymes. There aren't as many, there's a word section, but a majority of their reading time is not all around foundational skills. They're in there talking about inferencing and synthesizing in hopes of helping them prepare for third, fourth, and fifth. So now when those students make it to third, fourth, and fifth, they have the knowledge about comprehension, but they're unable to read on grade level to prove they have that knowledge. And then those don't know how to teach phonics.
Man, and that is probably the hard part for these third, fourth grade teachers because like the standard is understanding. But if you can't even read.
Yes. Correct.
Yeah.
Our fourth grade, we almost got t-shirts that said, but can they read? Like we literally almost got t-shirts that said, but can they read? It just helped out. It helped me out because I was a first and second grade teacher. So I was able to go and fill in gaps quickly for them to be able to read and exceed expectations on our state exams.
Wow. Crazy. Yeah. Okay. So, Ms. Whitfield, I gotta admit, I'm a fan of you. I was just in your Instagram live or TikTok live a few days ago, and you were talking about this exact same thing, right? On teaching students how to like actually read the words.
Yes.
Right? Man, yeah, you were talking about the breaks between what commas mean, what do exclamations mean, periods, all that stuff. Wow.
Yes.
I want to get more into that in a second, but before I talk to you about this, the TikTok from Ms. B, I was looking at that, and my theory behind that was that I think now in 2023, a lot of parents are really aware of mental health and the fact that students need brain breaks. Like you're in school all day, come home, play Fortnite on the iPad. You don't got to do math tests, right? Is that part of the reason you think? Like the parents aren't encouraging students to do learning outside of school because you already did that all day. Do a lot of parents think that way?
A lot of, actually a lot of parents that I work with, and maybe because I am the student interventionist and I'm working with students who are a year to 2 years below reading level, they are at the point where they're really desperately asking for help. And they really are looking for anything that they can get because they realize that their student is getting older and continuing to be pushed to the next level, excuse me. And so they're like, nah, wait a minute. But for the most part, I do feel that in some households, parents are saying school is for school and home is for home. And we're done with that. Like you've put in your 8 hours at your job and now you're off.
That's what I think too, sometimes. But what do you think? Is that your take? Do you think that helps or doesn't help?
So here's where you have to be creative. Like I said, in our earlier conversation, I worked at a school and I usually try to select schools that are low performing. My first 7 years, I had to really be innovative and creative. And so I would give TV homework. right? And so I would train the students how to look at something that was meant for entertainment to do it in an educational way. And so if I can say, okay, go home and watch That's So Raven. So that kind of dates you that I was back in the classroom, kind of back in the day.
I wasn't going
However,
to say anything. I wasn't going to say it, but okay.
okay, however, when you watch That's So Raven, here are the things I want you to do. And so if I'm teaching synthesizing, then I want you to, on a commercial break, use the synthesizing stems. So if teachers get creative to help them show that learning is all around them, then I think more parents will be apt to, allowing their children to experience that. Another example, while I was getting my master's degree, we were required to do a community service project. Well, I partnered with Walmart. And the theme was math is all around you. And so the teachers and I created math problems that dealt with the things that happen in Walmart. So we took a field trip, we kind of walked the aisles. Each teacher in each grade level looked at their student expectation requirements, and they created math problems. So when parents or anyone that was in Walmart came into the store, we asked what grade their child was in. We gave them a sheet and we showed them how they could shop and do math. And no parent complained about it. Like, it was very interesting to them. And so we have to be a little creative in that regard. And I think a lot more parents will say, oh, you have to watch TV for homework? Okay, good. Just make sure your pencil is sharpened.
Yeah, I love that. And even back thinking about me growing up, a trip to Walmart with my mom was like Disneyland. Like, that's
Yeah.
where you want to go. Man,
Yeah.
but that is so cool, Miss Whitfield. And I guess a big thing about you is that you're big on students doing work outside of the classroom to help them. I think this perfectly segues us into Whitfield's world. Sorry about that.
No
Yeah,
problem.
tell me, what is Whitfield's world?
So Whitfield's World is a place where educators come to get out of the box solutions for their everyday reading challenges.
Okay. And what type of solutions are you getting? I know I did a little research online. You have things like cracking the comprehension code, the blending box. Tell me about
Yes.
cracking the comprehension code first.
Oh my goodness. Listen. As you can see, I'm very personable. I make really true connections with my students. And I am a student of my students. I am a problem solver. Like, take me to an escape room, I'm going to be in heaven. Like, I like to solve problems. And so I really get the opportunity to ask students, what are you thinking? Okay, why did you get that wrong? Okay, well, could you tell me what you're talking about? Oh, now I see. And so throughout the last couple of years after COVID, I really try to look deep in why were kids not comprehending. And I know what the books say, and I know what studies say, but there's an additional gap between resources that help students who need intervention, but there's still another level under that group. And that's where a majority of the students are that are at low performing schools. And there are not a lot of resources for those students. And there's not really a face for those students. And so I said, well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to gather all my notes and I'm going to create an ebook. And it's going to be unlike any comprehension book that any teacher has read, because it's only going to be for the students who weren't successful with the intervention resources. And that's where my land is. I'm hoping to continuously build on Whitfield's World. And I want to be the face of what I call the best of the worst, because I'm the best expert in the worst case scenario.
I love it. I love it.
That's where I book from.
Yeah, and that's great. It's great because you're catching them right where they left off after the intervention. That's great. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Can you tell me about the blending box? What is that?
Okay, so hold on to your socks. The
Let's do
blend
it.
is the answer. As I stated earlier, I was a first and second grade teacher, but when I moved to Texas, I was a fourth grade teacher. And so all the resources that were given to me because I was upper elementary dealt with comprehension, right? And I noticed a lot of teachers, when they would pull students to work with them, they would work with them on comprehension. Once I was able to convince everybody that it was phonics, everyone ran to the first grade teacher or the second grade teacher. However, their resources move at the pace for a first grader. So you'll never close enough gaps for students to read on level to pass state exams. And so I had to figure out, how can I fill gaps quickly enough for them to read on level so that they can show they understand the skills. And I searched high and low, and there wasn't anything out there that could do both. And so I had to create. And I literally said, if you don't learn anything else in kindergarten, what do you have to know? And if you don't learn anything else in first grade, what do you have to know? And I put those things together. A majority of my kids like competition, so I knew I had to make it a game. And so I wrote the directions in such a way that each round would cover foundational skills necessary to close reading gaps fast. And because they're trying to win, they have no idea that it's going in rote memory. So it's almost like old school math flashcards for reading. And I have to give respect where respect is due. If it wasn't for a sixth grade reading teacher named Mr. Sledge, I never would have taken this from note card to the boxed resource that it is today. And he just told me, you know, my sixth graders, they're not going to want to play this. That's for babies. And so I went into my Miss Whitfield. Come here, baby. Come here. Come to. And I'm very animated, as you can see. Literally at that time, there wasn't a round one. There wasn't a round two. It was just some note cards from the Dollar Tree. And I'm like, first you hit him with round one. Bam, bam, bam. Then you hit him with round two. He said, you need to make this into a game. And I looked around the classroom thinking to myself, I can't make it into a game. I mean, I'm just a teacher. And then he said it again, you need to make this into a game. And I'm like, okay, I'll make it into the game. By the third time, I had chills over my entire body. And I said, oh, this is God speaking through you to me. Oh, I'm going to make it into a game. And that's how it was birthed.
Man, I love that. And teachers, and I feel like especially teachers of color, like we are so creative. And
yes.
Like we need all these outlets to showcase our work. And I feel like those chills is the sign of you like living your purpose. Like you definitely got it.
I knew that was it. And I think that was May. By June, I had an LLC. By October, I had 500 of these boxes delivered at my door. And the week before Thanksgiving, a young man from California purchased a box, and it was my 100th box that was purchased.
Congratulations. Yes. That is huge. That is
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah. Just my curiosity, diving deeper into this. So I taught physics, so I'm big on math and science on stuff. I know how to read, but I was that kid this was 4th grade, struggling with my comprehension. Like I think I knew how to read, but just understanding it. So when you were talking about hitting them with these foundational skills, what are the foundational skills? If you could maybe list a couple off.
Yes. Okay. So studies have been done that reading has to be together. However, if you're struggling, they need to be separate. So there are 2 portions of reading. Those who aren't able to fluently read the words, say the words correctly, and those who can read them well, as you stated. However, they could not comprehend what they read. So within the blending box, some of the foundational skills that you would need to read: letter recognition, letter sounds, being able to identify rhymes and chunks, and blending them together quickly. So much so, which they call fluent, that when you begin to read, you don't need that brain capacity. And you'll have more brain capacity to now not only read, but think about what you're reading, which is why I gave TV homework. So if you were in my class, because you were already capable of saying the words fluently, TV homework would have been best for you, because I can make sure you understood the knowledge, the inferencing, the summarizing, by visually watching, but then I would break down and say, okay, here's why you're not comprehending. You're not asking questions. You're not inferring. You're not making connections. You're not determining importance. And all I would do is give you certain question stems and say, when you watch that TV show tonight, here's what I want you to do. And you'll be all up in that TV show because that'll be your jam. But in the commercial break, then you would ask that questions. And now I can train your brain how to think from several perspectives. And now you're engaged.
Man, Miss Whitfield, you're on fire right now. You're on fire. Man, but
I told you I'm the face for the best of the worst. So if nothing is working for your students, I'm your girl.
yeah, seriously. And like you're making me so interested because I'm off my questions right now, but that process you just said sounds so complex, right? Is it? I'm okay. Help me out.
So here's the thing: we're doing too much. As a student say, you're doing too much.
Yeah, man.
Too much, and because it's the norm that we do this and this and this and this and this. Sometimes when people hear me and they say, "Well," I say, "Well, all you have to do is this." Then they automatically feel, well, she doesn't know what she's talking about, which is actually why I went back and got my master's degree, because a lot of people felt like I didn't, know what I was talking about. I didn't have the credentials. So I said, well, maybe if I go and get a master's degree and a principal certification, I'll be respected more. And it's still the same thing. They just have it in their head that you have to be doing a lot of things. And students that are struggling, they need you to simplify it. And we're not doing that. We're trying to move at a rate to exceed expectations. And our students are just going to roll with it. Oh, yes, we understand. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, you kind of answered my question before I even said it. But yeah, I was thinking, I was going to ask, is that too much to expect from a third, fourth grader? But now, based on my experience teaching physics, sounds super hard, but we do this with freshmen. We do this with middle school students. So
what we're missing is the interaction with the child. What's their learning style? Oh, when I put on music, they're ready to rock and roll. Okay, I need to get beside myself and I need to go, get on their level. And then I need to take my expertise and I need to show them how. So one of the chapters in my book for the top 10 reasons why your students don't comprehend is you have to teach students how to code switch. And so I would allow them to watch it in TV. So I would take, and teachers, you can do this, go on YouTube, search Percy Jackson, the scene with Medusa, and every now and then pause it and allow them to scream out whatever they want to do that's school appropriate. And they'll just yell out just the craziest things. They'll just yell it out. But then when you let them watch it again for the second time, you say you can only yell out questions. Okay, we're going to keep watching it, but this time I want you to infer, what do you think this? They said a word in that scene. What does that word mean? Oh, take it back some, take it back some. Now they're using context clues within the movie. They're using clues.
Man.
You see? So you just have to be creative. If you're creative in that way, which most of us are, students are going to exceed expectations. I actually, one school year, had 36 students come to me. 32 of them failed the third grade reading and math state exam. 32. However, there's all the students exceeded expectations. So what the computers do is they generate what they think the student will be capable of doing in fourth grade based on their third grade performance. So some of my students still didn't pass, but they exceeded the computer's expectation of them.
And that's a win.
And I found out, okay, this one is not into music. This one is into this. Oh. We have it in our bag. We just have to simplify it.
Seriously, you got the answers. My last one. So again, I just talked about how it's the complex doing for students at young ages. But also we just know certain things are easier to learn when you're younger.
Yes.
I just saw the new Willy Wonka movie, and spoiler alert, there's a part in the movie that proves that he can't read, right?
Mm,
Can you
okay.
teach an adult how to read?
Yes, sir.
Is it different from a fourth, third grader, second grader?
So here's the thing, is the skill that they miss. Most of the time, if there's anyone of whatever age and they get to a word and they do not know how to break the word apart to say it, they missed first or second grade, and you only have to do first or second grade skills, no matter what age. So literally, okay, so our district has a program that I have to use with third through sixth graders. But before that, literally any student that came to me who did not know how to decode a word, I would do the same thing with my first grader that I did with my sixth grader. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. And to me, I think that's the beautiful thing about education is that it just works.
It, but
Yeah.
you have to.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. But it also takes great teachers like you who are pushing those boundaries and getting stuff done. Like I really, really do appreciate that.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm working hard. I'm trying to get myself out there. I have the answer.
Yeah, really, really. And Miss Whitfield, your work on Whitfield's World, your different games you have, your work as a student support education specialist, and your work as a teacher are all part of the reasons why I think you might be one of the greatest teachers of all time.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course, of course. And also, thanks to my sponsors like Costco, Teachers of Color Matter, Victorious RED Restoration, and some anonymous donors, I'd like to give you this $150 gift card to use with you or your students, or really whatever you choose.
Cool. That's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, of course, of course. Great teachers like you deserve it.
You.
Yeah, so after the cameras go off, I'll get your address and figure out how to mail this gift card to you.
Cool. I did want to share what was coming up
Yeah, what
with.
you got?
Okay, cool. So as I stated earlier, there are a lot of teachers who create awesome things. We just don't take it upon ourselves to take it to the next level so that it is research based. And that's where I found my most challenge of getting my blending box in districts. They won't even allow me to fill that space because it is not a research based resource. So actually tomorrow, I am meeting with a professor from a local college here in Texas, and we're going to work together to see if we can use her research department to take the blending box from being research informed to a research based product. I'm looking to do the same thing. So if there are any professors that are watching this video at this time and you have an interest in dyslexia, special education, and watch this, I have the Spanish version in protocol. Mm,
I
hmm,
told you, you're
mm.
on fire. You're on fire.
I'm looking to find someone that will help collaborate with me to do the research so that it can be research based. And then I won't have that door shut in my face. I can help students all across the United States.
Man, and that is great. And it's great you're low-key dropping gems right now because I think a lot of teachers have programs and games activity they want to get more widespread, but the key is getting it research-based, huh?
They, I'm telling you, I can become an approved vendor for districts. However, when it's time for me to enter them in some schools, they will not touch it. They will not allow any funds to be used. And some of them also block teachers from utilizing the game, even though I already have data that shows it closes a year and a half to 2 years worth of reading in one school year, even though I have that personal data. So being research-based is very important. As a full-time teacher, it's very difficult for that to happen. But like I said, I'm reaching out to colleges to see if I can partner with them and make that happen. And I'm excited about that. And I'm excited about the Spanish version as well.
Yeah, I'm excited for that too, man. Spanish version coming soon. After that, you're gonna do Dutch, French, man. You
Oh,
you
yes.
got
Yes, concept, I've already spoke to we have a high Vietnamese population on our campus, and the concept also works there. So any day now, I should be getting the copyright approval published from my trademark attorney for the directions that I already put in to be copyrighted for English and Spanish. But the concept works across all languages. So look for that. I definitely did that because I have a lot of Hispanic friends who they're always needing the resource in Spanish and it's not always there. So I wanted to make sure I respected them in their space and those students as well.
Yeah, and that is great. That is great. In the meantime, before it actually gets in school districts and everything, where can regular consumers find your stuff?
Okay, so they can go to whitfieldsworld.com. They can purchase it there. The cost of the box is $60 plus shipping and handling and tax. However, because I'm on here with the greatest teacher of the world himself, I'm going to remove shipping and handling for the rest of the year.
Thank you, thank you, thank you so much to me and the audience and everyone. Thank you. This is great.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I'm wishing you a very happy holidays and a great sales season also.
Thank you so much. Same to you.
Thank you, thank you. Also, thanks to everyone else for watching The Greatest Teacher of All Time, where I, Quincy Dawson, interview teachers of color to highlight their personalities, strategies, and philosophies on education. Please make sure to subscribe to the channel and like the video. And if you really liked it, leave a comment for me and Ms. Whitfield to see. Also, if you are the greatest teacher of all time, or if you know the greatest teacher of all time, let me know. Go to greatestteacherofalltime.com and click on Submit a Teacher to nominate one. Hope to see you soon.